Hi, and welcome back to our kindergarten through 8th grade general music PLC. In this topic, we're talking about literacy alignment and how we can make the connection between music and literacy. And in this segment, we're going to be talking about primary strategies, so strategies for kindergarten, first grade, and second grade specifically. For these grades and for the upper elementary and secondary grades that we're going to talk about next, it is important to know not only what our music standards are, but maybe also what the literacy standards are so we can make that direct connection. So let me show you how to do that. When you do a Google search for Georgia Standards, the first result is the Georgia Standards of Excellence page on the Georgia DOE website. And there's also this search bar right here. So you can search for a particular concept or topic, and it will search the entire scope of the kindergarten through 12th grade Georgia Standards of Excellence in any subject area. So, for example, if I search for the word opposites, it will show me where that occurs in the Georgia Standards of Excellence. And I can see that it happens in reading. And if I keep going down, I can see some curriculum maps for math. So that's not really what I'm talking about. Okay, here's kindergarten. So I'm going to open that. And then I can do my Control F to find and find the word opposites. And there I see it is in kindergarten. I can also go directly to the Georgia Standards website. And if I scroll over here to Georgia Standards of Excellence, here are all of the standards in all subject areas. So I'm going to be looking at English Language Arts, and I'm going to open up kindergarten through 5th grade. And here I have the standards for each individual grade level. I could also choose 6th through 8th grade, etc. Of course, here are our fine arts standards and our music standards, but the English Language Arts standards are in basically the same spot. So directly from the kindergarten through 2nd grade standards are concepts like rhyming words and musical and opposites. So there are lots of ways we can incorporate rhyming words in music class, including varying the text of familiar songs, which is taken directly from the music standards. So, for example, we could do a song that has a rhyming word and just replace the last word in the song. We can replace a pair of rhyming words. We can have students predict which word will be coming next in the song based on whether it is a rhyming word or not. And it doesn't have to be just songs. It can also be poetry, and it can also be children's literature as well, like we talked about in the last segment. There are lots of ways to vary the text of familiar songs, starting with a simple name game at the beginning of the year to get students comfortable with that concept. And then it doesn't have to be changing the entire lyrics. It can be changing one or two words or one or two phrases. And that helps the students take ownership of that song or poem or literature or what have you. Students also are learning about opposites and the concept of opposites. And so we have a ton of musical opposites that we can address in our music classroom, such as high and low, loud and soft, fast and slow. So I use the word musical opposites throughout the year to make that connection with my students. Another good strategy is to use cumulative songs, which helps the students with text recall. And this is an important literacy skill as well. So when we're talking about a direct literature connection, in this segment, I'm not going to be referencing any specific pieces of literature because each school has different resources, and I want to keep it more general, but there's still lots of ways that you can incorporate music with different pieces of literature, starting with, again, not even books, but poetry, like nursery rhymes. So an example would be adding a melody to a spoken rhyme, or again, changing the text to have a different rhyming word as different examples. You can also bring out books about music, such as about different musicians, about different composers, books about instruments, books about music history, There are books that have turned music notes and music rhythms into fictionalized characters, so the note itself is a character. So anytime you can bring literature into the music classroom about music, that's a good connection. You can also, in these primary grades, use books with sound effects. There are several standards in our music standards about soundscapes and adding sound effects to literature. So any sound story would be a great opportunity with that. There are several books that have a natural rhythm or natural beat when you read them, so helping students keep the steady beat as you read the book. Students with rhythmic or melodic motifs, so there might be a book with a repeated section that either has music notation at the end of the book, or it is with a well-known folk song, or maybe even it's a song that it's a short poem, maybe 4-line song that you can create a simple melody for the students to hook onto as you read it. There's also books with repeated sections, so you can use that to talk about form. And like I said, you can add your own song to a story. So this includes not only stories that have that pre-written for you, like a small motif that occurs that the author has included throughout the book, but also you can create a thematic textual song for students to sing throughout the book, and then kind of dive into that song itself as a diving board, a springboard for whatever musical concept you're talking about that day. So maybe the musical concept you want to talk about is 16th notes, but you have this really fun book you want to read, and you create a song that has 16th notes in it. And then after you read the book and they had that musical experience of singing or playing instruments with that song that you created, afterward you dive into looking at that rhythm. So notes is a weird example because I realize we're talking about kindergarten through second grade, but you understand what I'm saying. Another way to incorporate literacy in your music classroom is just to have a classroom library. Have your own collection of children's literature that students can access. Maybe you have some free time or you're doing centers and you want to have a reading station. There are many ways to build up your classroom library. You can often talk to your media specialist about ordering books for you to keep in the media center, and maybe they let you keep them in the music classroom for a good portion of the year. You can also ask for donations from parents. You can ask for donations from classroom teachers. Often they have books that they no longer use that you might be able to find some sort of musical connection with. And this goes the same for classroom furniture. You can also ask them to see if they have any discarded children's bookshelves or anything like that to store them in your classroom. So this is another way to make that literacy connection and have your own books in your classroom. So this has been kindergarten through second grade strategies. Next, we'll talk about third grade through eighth grade strategies for bringing literacy into the music room.